Hello everyone and welcome to this double features semi-spontaneous stream today. As I said before, I wanted to show a bit of the mid-season update of Delta Force, so that was planned. But then also the news came that the Illuminate have invaded Super Earth. So we're gonna defend Super Earth later because there are new city maps. Hey Red Seraph, lovely to see you again. But yeah, basically a bit of an overview of what is currently new. They finally added the new weapons, which is... You're right?
Yeah.
Okay. The K437 assault rifle, so, you know, based on the German HK433, I think? So... And also the double barrel shotgun, which I already maxed because, here's the thing. All of this that you can see here, you know, all the grips and such, you can't put them on the gun because you only have like the wooden barrel and the short wooden barrel until level 41. So I'm gonna show them off both, but just so you know, this is why I already unlocked everything on the shotgun because, well, that's that. Also, you know, new French operator. Let's just shoot some people. I can answer most stuff in the while we do that. Hope the week is going good for everyone so far. For me, it's like today was a day of days, I would say. Didn't sleep a lot. Blood drawn. Extra commotion, wiped the apartment, and still cooked. Dinner like on barely any sleep, and now streaming. Let's go. Can I survive that? Okay. Yeah, shut up. So you know what? Let's kill a few people with the double barrel shotgun, which is a good shotgun. I have to say that. I mean, you like I think shotguns in especially multiplayer games are always like a hit and miss thing, especially the double barrel ones. I'm kind of glad that oh fuck. Since the first Black Ops game, we at least have them on and off, and that one was a good one, the Olympia. This is basically the Olympia, so... I mean, there's this very funny dichotomy for, you know, double barrel shotguns, I would say. It's like, there we go. You know how they work. But like, you can clearly see there are like two categories of them, you know? It's like, your post-World War II kind of realistic setting game. Well, you have the over and under barrel, you know, hunting style shotgun, double barrel shotgun, which, you know, makes sense why they're placed like that. It's just better for, you know, handling and ergonomics. Fuck. If you're a World War II or a boomer shooter, it's side by side coach gun though. I mean, if you're a really spicy modern game, you have one of the fancy double-barrel pump-action shotguns. Oh god. Fuck, What the fuck was that? I need to focus. Oh. Sorry for slipping into German. I was like, oh, that's a dead body. No, it was obviously not a dead body. Shit. There we go. You know what? Maybe that is enough. You saw the double barrel shotgun. It still uses the cursed side angle grip because every gun uses this cursed side angle grip that has it in this game. So actually there's an interesting... so basically this game has like one hell of an in-depth gun customization. Can show that off afterwards. I usually like to use, you know, new guns without anything first and then slap shit on. But the way with how stats work, it kind of encourages you to make a lot of very, very cursed setups by design. I love that. Like, there's always this debate with people like, oh, should customization be, you know, simple or cursed? I'm like, I am very much in the cursed department. Like, if I can make a cursed gun that's, you know, not completely over the top, I like it. Especially if you can add some really dumb shit to it that, fuck. Changes the gun completely. Anyway. Okay, yeah. I do hope everyone's cursed in what way. Okay, I can show you that. Okay, actually this game has a few really cool things. One I can actually just show off actually because I finished that one. Basically, most of the guns you will make are very long. Okay, basically you kind of slap them full with attachments to the degree that you will have usually some extensive barrel length extension so that you can slap usually more stuff onto that. Basically the best grip right now in the game is an angled grip, so like instead of, you know, having your hand below the gun barrel, it's angled off to the side and you hold it kind of like it's kind of an off-brand chainsaw grip, I would even say. It's very funny. Like, look at this. This is the revolver. Look how the grip is angled. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. Book. And also, like, you know, extremely big suppressor on a fucking revolver. I mean, wait a second. I can pull it out again, but okay, I don't know what is currently going on with spawns are shit. So it's more like you usually won't, you know, you can make a gun like that in real life, but it's like a bit overkill. Okay, so actually there's a really fun part about this, because you think, oh wait, that's a pretty big suppressor, right? Nah, shit. It's actually completely useless. Probably helps a bit with muzzle stability, because, you know, it's weight, so the gun, you know, the more weight you have on the front of the gun, the better you can actually control recoil, you know, because it kicks upwards usually. But here's an interesting thing about suppressors. I don't know if suppressors don't make your gun actually silent. Like, they can't. They just dampen. They basically only dampen the muzzle noise. And that's not bad, per se. Like, you need to keep in mind that guns are very, very, very loud. And World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, Korea, basically every war was like, you just have to deal with that. Which means basically a lot of soldiers came back from any war with tinnitus. Because shit was just loud. Suppressors were basically invented to reduce the loudness of gunfire from the muzzle, so you don't need hearing protection all the time. Or, you could actually use less hearing protection, which would actually make it so that, you could communicate better, which, in general they have anyway, because, the, button in the ear is just like the best thing you can have, even with, even if everyone uses a suppressor in a gunfight, it would still be loud. There we go. There's an interesting bit though about this, and that is that suppressors do not work on revolvers. They just don't. Or at least they just don't really work on most revolvers, actually. Okay, sorry, that was just my ability. It's like I can throw this disc around the corner, like it bounces off a corner, and it explodes and does shrapnel and periodic dot damage. So pretty neat, actually. This character is definitely more for the operations side of the game, but I still like playing him, actually. Okay, yeah. So basically, the interesting part about revolvers is, well, you can literally see it on this revolver, which is the fact for literally every single revolver. That magazine is exposed. That's just a feature of revolvers. There's a rotating cylinder, and the cases and bullets are not fully inside of a locking mechanism. Be it open bolt or closed bolt. Inside, as with every other gun. On the normal one, you can see it's completely inside the case. So the whole explosion is inside and only comes out of the barrel. In a revolver, the sound also comes out of the cylinder. So suppressors are actually kind of irrelevant. They just don't work. Except, okay, so there is a Russian World War II revolver, I think there was a Russian and maybe another one where the cases, like the it's actually completely sealed. So that's actually one of the few revolvers where you can use suppressors on. Some physics talk here. I mean, you can technically still slap them on them, but that's why basically every single revolver doesn't even have to screw something on the barrel. There's literally a screw outside of the barrel that's standardized, so multiple accessories could fit onto it, and every gun has the gun manufacturer has their own variant of that. Oh yeah. It's like that's kind of the reason why, for example, the Picatinny rail was developed, because people were like, huh, you know, just iron sight shit on a gun kind of sucks. And then they were like, you know, how about we just make a standardized rail? And then everyone was like, do you know that standardized rail actually looks good? And so now every gun manufacturer just puts it on their gun. Because it just, you know, kind of makes sense to have a universal setup, because you do want your guns to be kind of modular. That's why I generally had a problem to a degree with the a lot of the what's it called, Helldivers guns to a degree, because oh god, they really have the big problem of basically every, you know, like sci-fi design has the big problem of making blocky guns. And it's like, that makes no sense. Like, even before polymer, you know? I mean, I know there is this joke that every gun kind of develops towards the AR-16, and I get it. Like, even this one, which is, you know, the HK433, is supposed to be like the best parts of the G36 and the HK416. And the HK416 literally just happened because, okay. How deep can I go into gun design? Fuck it, I'm yapping. This is my stream. So, okay, the thing about why the AR-15 is such a beloved weapon, actually, and why it's actually really popular, okay, is that A, it has a pretty simple design, but also the design that Armalite made basically is that, wait a second, you know, when you fire a gun, there's a small gas tube above, you know, the barrel that transfers some gas back and kicks a bolt. So that's like, there's just, the bolt is just kind of floating in there inside of, it's just like where it is. There's a spring behind it, but basically the gas travels all the way back. Sure, it travels all the way back, kicks the bolt, and you know, this is how the gun cycles. Very simple mechanism. It's a rotating bolt because, you know, it rotates a bit, but like, this bolt design is really, really simple. And there's some really interesting things about it, because especially back when it released, that bolt had some amazing, you know, it's just some amazing factors. Like, for example, because gas traveled back, okay, it also expelled itself through the chamber where, you know, the next bullet came in. Meaning, if there was dirt in there or so, which could happen, you know, if you're in a combat situation, there is dirt in your chamber to a degree. But it just blows the dirt out of the chamber. That's kind of useful, isn't it? So yeah, actually really reliable, really simple guns, easy to, like, I think this is probably one of the funniest bits that people say, you know, oh, the AK-47, like, the AK-47 is a good gun. Don't get me wrong. The AR-15 is better, hands down, in so many ways. There's a whole thing, by the way, people are like, but what about Vietnam? That literally happened because, legitimately, how's it called? Because some people literally tried to sabotage the gun out of sheer spite. That's the whole thing with the Springfield Armory. basically what happened is that up until that point, the basically U.S. military always got their rifles ordered by the Springfield Armory. This is why, for example, it's the Springfield rifle or so, and they bought in a few other guns back in the day. So M1 Garand, the ones that are the World War II ones, etc. But basically, after World War II, everyone was kind of like, yo, we need a new gun. Okay? Because turns out that Sturmgewehr 44 that the Nazis developed, every single country in the world afterwards looked at it and was like, yeah, it's a good idea, actually. There are a few interesting things in terms of doctrines and how they looked at it, actually. Because, for example, what a lot of people think is that, the Sturmgewehr 44 was actually made as a, upgraded MP44, but MP40, but that's not actually the case. The interesting thing about it was, shit, how did I end up with fucking doctrine talk? Anyway, so basically, German rifle squads during World War II were basically consistent of riflemen with, bolt-action rifles and MG42s. And the idea was basically the rifle squads helped set up the MG42, and the MG42 can then, clear or hold down positions. That was the idea of that. But then a lot of the engineers realized, hey, that's a good MG, but it kind of sucks for mobile warfare. The whole thing that World War II turned into to a degree, even though it was still kind of just an unfair battle on every front. So basically, they realized, everyone else had, everyone that could, aka the USA, upgraded to semi-automatic rifles. And also, that MG42 is too heavy. So the Sturmgewehr was actually, hey, here's a scaled down cartridge, a bit scaled down everything, but you could actually have a more scaled down MG position with that thing and have a lot more mobile squads with that. Interestingly, then the Soviets got their hands on it, and they looked at it and were like, hey, we're handing out MPs en masse, something that no one else does in any other military. Would just be way more smarter if we just scaled them up a little bit, then they would just function a lot better. So that's the interesting thing. The Sturmgewehr and such were basically to scale down MG doctrines, while the Soviets scaled them up because they looked at their Pepeshas and they were like, the PPHs, and they were like, good, but we could do better. And that's how the AK-47 actually happened. Anyway, basically, Colt, very simple design. But during World War II, after World War II, they basically were like, okay, we need to have one. And NATO was like, okay, but we should also probably agree on like a single cartridge. Because if we're gonna standardize that, we can just share ammunition, basically. And everyone kind of wanted to go for an intermediate cartridge because, it just makes sense if you think about it. It like, intermediate cartridges basically are there, so you can still fire pretty well. They still have stopping power, but also crucially, they don't kick as much, and they're not as heavy. Then the Americans came in and basically were like, no, we need a full power cartridge. The thing we used in our M1 Garand. Nothing else will have the right stopping power. We're going with that. And they basically got their wish fulfilled. That is why, a lot of countries actually changed up their guns later on because, well, they switched cartridges. So basically then everyone's like, I guess, fuck it, we're making, new guns in the full power cartridge. This was, for example, the FAL, which basically every NATO country adapted. There was the G3, which also a lot of countries adapted. And then the USA adapted the M14. So the M14 sucked. Like, horribly sucking. horrible, horrible levels of suckage. Like, how should I best put it? The M14 is basically, it's different, and people will fucking debate with me on that. But it's basically, you took an M1 Garand and made it full auto and slapped a magazine on the bottom. How the fuck am I so bad at this right now? The thing kicked. It was brutally heavy because it was still made out of, wood. Mostly. The FAL also had, like, wood grips and stuff. But, like, not as much. It's just, like, the M14 was bad. Meanwhile, I think the Marines were it. One of the generals there just tried the AR-15. And was like, yo, this shit is amazing. Like, this cartridge is better. It's just lighter, it's better, and what basically happened is that he just ordered rifles for his squad. They started using the AR-15, then, and they handed them to literally everyone else visiting them. They were all like, yo, why can't we have the AR-15? This thing is good, actually. So, after like a long thing, basically Springfield Armory, they kind of just caved. They were like, shit, we can't stand against the tide. Everyone wants this gun. Fine, we adapted. So they mandated some really dumb changes, by the way. So, basically, one of the most prominent ones that you still see to this day, which has not changed for some reason, is there's this button on the side. And if you ever wondered what this is called forward assist. And the only reason it's there is because they were like, the M1 Garand, you had like this little handle, and basically you could slam the bolt on your own. And for example, a bullet was stuck a little bit. That's like, you had this little handle you could just slam on. The AR-15 didn't have that because it literally didn't need it. As you know, as I said before, it kind of blew out dirt and debris to a degree on its own, so, And also, it had the handle on the back that you could just pull, and that would kind of do the same job, but, hey, if you're still pissed off that, your old design, which was ass, is now on its way out, I guess you start sabotaging this shit. And also another big thing they had was just the fact that they, the AR-15, because, guns are actually really, really finely designed and fine-tuned things, like, they're controlled explosion machines. Basically, you need a very specific ammunition to go with it. And if you don't have that, you can have all sorts of problems. And the AR-15 had a very specific ammunition type to go with it in terms of, how much power it, for example, has. It's etc, etc, etc. But because, Springfield Armory was really close with DuPont, yes, that DuPont, they were like, yo, can you're gonna make the new ammunition for this AR-15? And DuPont was like, wow, those ingredients look a little bit expensive. How about we just don't do that? So they actually used a way worse, type of igniting, basically gunpowder. And this is why the guns performed so badly during Vietnam, because, if you just exchange the fucking bullet and you know, suddenly the bullet has a lot more power, so the gun just kicks. There's more smoke. It, you know, it just collects a lot of, you know, stains inside of the barrel, and that's why they broke down. The gun literally got sabotaged. There was like a whole court case over that. It's kind of impressive, actually. By the way, if you're wondering, is Springfield Armory still around? Because of that, it isn't actually anymore. Anyway. Okay, so coming back to that, the interesting part is now that then how's it called? Some special forces in, I think, the Marines, the SEAL teams, were like, oh hey, yeah, we kind of want to have you know, we kind of like the you know, the AR-15, but you know, we want to have the more reliable old you know, older designs that a lot of European guns especially. It is wild. It's like one of the biggest corruption scandals in history, actually. Like, we can talk a lot about the Vietnam War, you know, but like, people died due to that. Because some people were just generally too arrogant to admit that their design was shit, and they intentionally sabotaged it. It's like, yeah.
Artillery barrage ready.
But yeah, basically what happened is they said, yo, we basically want AR-15. But they didn't want the whole, you know, the gas travels all the way back, because they were like, it's not reliable enough, okay? You can say what you want about that, but basically, Heckler & Koch comes in. It's like, hey, look, we took the AR-15, and instead of having the whole, nice, we have a lot of stuff to slap onto our gun now. And instead of the whole, you know, the gas travels all the way back system, we now have it so that, as with, you know, basically the G3, the G36, basically every Heckler & Koch weapon, the gas just travels upwards, and there is like a long rod, and the gas just basically just pounces that rod, and that you know, traverses the shock back. And that, okay, you know, that's also a thing where I want to point out. Everyone says Germans have no humor, and like, as I said, they call it the well, it's actually HK416, and you know why they call it that? Because they basically said, look, we made the better M4 and the better M16. Fuck you. This name was literally just chosen to flex on the Colt. You gotta respect that to a degree. Okay, let's just go and do some stuff. Okay, what can we do? Let's slap some visuals on, because we want to see it clearly. And yeah, one of the things HK uses nowadays is that instead of having, you know, the bolt handle on the back with the as with the M16, they usually have it now on the front, where you can just like with the G3 basically. It just has more grip action, you know. I mean, what should I say? This is like the same this is basically from the same country that you kind of need to be a little bit in. This is a little bit of how's it called? Just internet forum debate thing. Not kidding you. So there's this thing currently going on that basically France and Germany want to have a new main battle tank. Their idea was that instead of just making their own again, because the French have the Leclerc, and the Germans have the Leopard 2, which is kind of the most exported one anyway. So that's that. Oh, yeah. So as you can see, the thing is, you want to have control and stability nowadays up, but mostly control. So usually make them larger and have like patch slots in here. Also, interestingly, these things right here, those are actually ways to slot more stuff in very easily, because you just can snap them in. And it's like fun stuff. Let's do this. Yeah. So there's currently this basically beef going on about, okay, who's going to make that one, and they're kind of working on something, and it seemed like kind of a big in the end it was pretty similar anyway, but basically what happened is that Rheinmetall was like, fuck this shit, you all suck, we can make better tanks on our own. And then they showed off the Panther. So here's the thing. If you know, the Panther was a medium to heavy tank during World War II, developed by the Nazis. The thing is that in tank circles, a lot of people say that this was, at least on a technical basis, if it didn't break down, because there was a whole lot of other issues with it, probably the best tank of World War II stat-wise. Because it was actually kind of close to, a main battle tank. Yeah, they literally named the new tank after dumb forum discussions, just to be like, look, we made the next big one. It's just kind of dumb. Again, and people say our Germans have no humor. Ours is just very stupid or macabre to a degree. Yeah, when it comes to sci-fi guns, I always have this problem that most of them are just really, really bulky. Like, that's probably the thing I hate the most, is the fact that, if you look at, for example, at architecture, okay? Like, nowadays, a lot of architectural bureaus make, like, designs that you look at and are like, what? And the reason why they do that is they have this thing called, 3D software rendering. Basically, they can just make shit look like whatever they want and not really care about static. Who cares? The solution, well, that's for the engineers to solve. They can use, concrete or something, I guess, and glass. Glass can be woven into shapes, right? So, a lot of architectural designs nowadays are basically just made not with like a lot of consideration for practicality anymore. Similar with, and that's kind of the similar thing that's going on with basically a lot of sci-fi guns because they're usually just blocks, like polymer blocks, without ergonomics, without stuff like, you know, oh hey, can you actually slap shit onto it? Or, you know, any kind of general sensibility to, yeah, would this be a good design even? Like, I know if you do that, you know, you will end up with a lot of guns that look probably similar to real world guns, but yeah, you could make the AK a little bit more blocky or sleek or whatever you want, but it would work. Like, in fact, the AK is probably one of the best guns you could still traverse into the future because it's, you know, kind of a bit you know, AK and AR-15s, they are pretty reliable guns. They would work. Like, similarly, you know, when now with the Ukraine war, a lot of, you know, there was always this thing when people said, oh, what you know, they just kind of pulled out everything from the storage, like, and they're just a lot of times not really smartly designed, like. Like, for example, damn it. Like, for example, if you, for example, look at Halo, that's like one of those sci-fi franchises that a lot of people point towards of, look, you know, the guns of the, you know, the UNSC, like, they are realistic and shit. And, sorry to tell you that, but the main assault rifle in Halo sucks. It's bad. It's, like, really fucking badly designed. It's just a bad gun. Period. It's distinct. And, you know, when you look at just pure video game design, sure, like, you know, oh, you have the ammo counter on the gun. But, like, holy shit, is it bad. It's like one block. You know, there are no optics. Like, you can't aim. You don't even have iron sights. It's like, okay. And on top of that, it's a small magazine in the bullpup. So here's the thing. Bullpup designs, they got popular a lot. And they're definitely good bullpup guns. But if you looked at basically every single country that had bullpups, they are all ditching it. Every single one of them. France had the FAMAS, and now they adapted the, well, HK416. Germany didn't have one. We also have the HK416 now, so lol. Anyway, England had one, and that one was famously bad, by the way. Like, the L1, A1 Enfield was bad. Because the problem with bullpup designs is that, first of all, most of them are not ambidextrous. There are some designs, but not all of them. So if you're like left-handed, fuck you. That's actually kind of bad for any military, because you want as many people in there shooting as comfortably as possible. So yeah, that's that. Second, depending on what cartridge you use, even mid-power cartridges, bullpup designs, because there's no real buffer between where the whole bolt cycles and your shoulder, they can kick a lot. So their fire rate is kind of limited. You know, aside from mechanical problems. So if you look at the Halo gun, there's even less, you know, room between the cycling and the stock. And it's, you know, bulky as shit. And you can't really, you know, work around with stuff in it. And all of that. And you know what? It's chambered in the fucking cartridge of that M14. It's not even... It's not even a mid, you know, like, it's a full power cartridge. That thing is a battle rifle. It's like one weapon class higher than an assault rifle. That shit is imprecise and kicks like hell. It is awful in design. And that's a convincing looking one. And right, you know, I like some designs that are probably kind of impractical. It's just kind of funny to think about why some of them are.
Allied troops launching an assault on objective Bravo 1.
Like, also a big thing, why would you, for example, need bullpups? So ironically, Helldivers probably has the best argument for those because, well, you know, you need to fit shit into a Hellpot. Like, having compact guns would generally be kind of useful for the military there because, you know, save the space, use it for something more sensible, quote unquote. But like, in a lot of sci-fi, you have fucking dropships. They just fly down. Just make a normal gun. You can literally just copy shit from human history. No one cares. They're fine. Anyway, yeah, a lot of other ones, they just make these big, just bulky shit without anything. It's just, God, they are so bad. Because, like, what's ergonomics, you know? I mean, ironically, one thing I like, there are a few guns I do like in design because, like, honestly, I'm a little bit of a Killzone fan, but, like, I cannot deny that the Hellgast weapons are just kind of stupid for probably even dumber reasons. Oh, wow. Fuck. Can actually open that soon after this round, because after this round, I think we can switch over to Helldivers. There we go. God damn it. Oh well. Got the flamethrower.
Allied troops engaging in objective Bravo 1.
So basically, one of the things about the Helga's assault rifles is they're bullpup, but as I said before, you know, bullpup designs are not like inherently bad. Actually, you know what? Let's just open it up in the browser since I have some time. Let me just check really quickly. Perfectly. Okay. So, there's a lot I like about it because it's generally a pretty simple gun, you know. It's a bullpup design anyway, but like, it's comparatively sleek. You know, it doesn't you know overuse shit. It's actually of metal, carrying grip, etc. Generally, I like a lot about design, but fucking helical mags. They also use that for their you know, SMGs and LMGs. They just you know, and helical mags are just a whole other story. Because how should I start with it? So first of all, there are guns with helical mags. I need to put that up up front, okay? They exist because helical mags have a few upsides that people want to use.
Deployed.
Mainly because, you know, you can stack a lot of ammunition in a lot of tight space. And that's it. So, basically, aside from like the PP Bison and there probably is another gun and I just don't remember right now. There are just no helical mags really in the world. Because turns out helical mags just have a lot of problems. Like, you know, normal stack mags and even drum mags you can relatively easily reload actually. And they're not as heavy and don't take up as much space. So yeah. That's again, so basically yeah, everyone who designs a helical mag just kind of designs a helical mag and then just stops making helical mags. They look impressive, but they don't do a lot. There's actually a very funny thing about it though. So, in terms of helical mags, just look at this. So this is North Korea. They've shown them at some parades, you know, with their version of like a AK. They have this really big helical drum mag. And you know, they have like some pictures of like some soldiers having them. And like, okay. Anyway, this is the PP Bison. So they exist. Okay? They exist. They're real. This one works. But this one, you're like, oh. So North Korea has managed to make a helical mag design and uses it. No. Those are fake. There is no one Like, they show up in propaganda material and look like, look, we have like the biggest magazine on any AK. But like, they're fake. Like, everyone is actually very sure that they're fake because literally, if they weren't, A, they would be used more, B, they wouldn't just show up on a few pictures, and C, again, making helical mags, especially this fucking big, isn't easy. So yeah, North Korea probably just made an ass pull to seem more advanced and cool than they actually are. Fun fact about guns out there, and the fact that North Korea it's just all smoke and mirrors. Like, holy shit, it's so funny. Anyway, yeah, helical mags, cool on paper. You could definitely say, in sci-fi they probably optimized them. Fair point. You know what? I give you that. It's similar with, straight mags. Like, for example, okay. Ever wondered why there are not a lot of, actually straight mags and straight bullets? As in, like, bullets always get a little bit, from the end to the top, they always get a bit narrow. That is because when a bullet fires, and once again we're coming back to that, holy shit, are guns just precisely manufactured? It's that their brass shell, not only because, brass is really good at just, it expands a bit. It's still pretty, it's durable, but like, it expands a bit. So when you fire a bullet, the brass casing expands a little bit and kind of seals off perfectly the bullet, inside of the barrel. So the maximum amount of power actually pushes us forward. But it doesn't expand as much that, the shell can't be ejected, without problems. This is why, the bullets are not completely straight. They are a little bit more concave. And this is why the longer magazines get and, the bigger the bullets are, they always become, kind of half-moon shaped. Because that's just the best way to build them and, stack them, and that it works. Now, they actually made straight bullets, specifically for the P90, because if you remember, the P90 is that gun where you have like a big magazine laying flat on top of the gun. And that was like one of the big things of, oh, look at how big the magazine size is, etc., etc., etc. But there are downsides to that, because turns out those straight bullets now have a problem actually traveling through mechanisms, so they're actually lubricated. I shit you not. The P90 bullets are a little bit lubricated. Meaning, the P90 is actually just a little bit not that resistant to dirt because, well, that's the thing, if you make a gun, where there's oil on the bullet works really well as long as there isn't dirt coming in. Like, the Italians actually had that during World War II. They made a LMG design that was generally kind of terrible, but due to its own factors, because basically, aside from the whole, they still were figuring out how magazines should work in World War II to a degree. There was this thing that the magazine was like folded off to the side, and you had like a big stripper clip you like pushed in and then you know, closed it again, and it was kind of a weird design, but, you know, did the job.
Artillery barrage incoming.
It was mechanically also, you know, yet not like the best gun, but it performed well in trials. Like, for example, and it also had like a little,
Strategic beacon ready to deploy.
just a little reservoir on top, so you have a bit of oil in there, you know, that just drips in, lubricates the whole mechanism, and the gun is just firing smoothly. And during every trial, wow, that was a well-performing gun, actually. You know, for the Italian Alps, you know that Italy didn't fight in the Alps, at least not in the beginning. They were kind of fighting in North Africa. And you can see the problem between the Boreal Alps and North Africa.
Fall back.
The answer is a lot of sand. So that gun clocked to shit. And this is why you generally want to have, you know, you want to balance guns as with, hey, your cartridge should probably not be that big. You don't want it to be straight bullets, so you know you don't want to use any lubricant at the best. You want to stack, and you want the mechanics to be as simple as possible, because the simpler they are, the better you can repair them, actually. Like, there's this irony that by design, you cannot really overcomplicate guns. Like, I mean, that is probably one of those things where, like, when I look at a lot of, you know, cyberpunk dystopian sci-fi, I think one of the most interesting things that a lot of people do not look at is the fact that one of the most obvious things, you know, if they would sell guns, you know, and if you go with the idea of, you know, guns as a, you know, throwaway commodity, you have to ask the question of, so why aren't made internal components, you know, the bolt, for example, or other stuff out of polymers, aka plastic, aka, you know, they will break after a certain amount of use. So, you know, you would probably be like, wait, that gun sucks. Sure. But, you know, it's the, after this and this many shootings, or, you know, everything else, the gun just breaks and fuck you. And then probably, you know, it would probably devolve into either, you know, the other corporate guns who are like, we have the, how's it called again on normal things? Planned obsolescence. Like, it would just be planned obsolescence for guns, actually. Because that thing you can actually plan, by the way, for. That's not impossible. Okay. Okay, I take that one, I guess. Yeah, fair. That looks good. On the other hand, you would definitely have stuff like, you know, future Khyber Pass shit. For everyone who doesn't know, the Khyber Pass is a region in Afghanistan where they just kind of build weapons. As in, they copy weapons in a shed with very, very simple tools. Those can be pretty good, actually. Like, everyone's like, you don't know because it kind of comes, you know, down to the gunsmith. But, like, if it's, for example, about an AK-47, they can generally make really good AK-47s. Or, you know, what they started with were, like, old British Martini Henrys, or, you know, the Enfields. Those old guns, they built that. And a lot of those designs would probably come back in the future like that more. Yeah, I guess the AK-47 is eternal. Oh yeah, I don't know how to show that. Because I know a lot of games have, you know, gun customization. I always think a lot of games do not go for interesting things. Like, for example, we have the the revolver here that kind of starts out as just a normal revolver that you can slowly mod into a monstrosity, but that's neat. G17 is like, you can exchange the slides, stuff like that. So now with an M1911. But you can fucking make the gun from RoboCop. I'm not kidding you. This barrel right here technically exists. That's the AR-9 from RoboCop. And it's not even a bad design. Because this is a burst fire gun. Having a longer barrel with like, a really good recoil system would actually make a lot of sense. Like, a lot of other media doesn't get that right on the gun, but like RoboCop, this one is not even a bad design. It's actually pretty, they modified the real gun for that. So, yeah. I just want to see more like that. There's like there's a very fun stuff about Hollywood guns and how they modified shit. And I wish more games would lean into that, because the moment I saw this barrel, I smiled. Because I like RoboCop. Why isn't it in more games? It's just, there's no license on it. It's just kind of cool. Yeah, anyway, if you want to have a bit more overview, you can actually, like, as you can see, there's like an AR-15, and you can tune the shit out of it. If I go to supports, you, for example, also have like, yeah, there's the Bison. This is an MP5. Again, a lot of this stuff is actually real, but or this is a P90. Usually it would end here, not with not with ice slapped on it, because yeah. Or the ultra long Vector, because also with dual drum magazine, because obviously had to that. Ah, well, god damn it, talked a lot about gun stuff again. Okay, so we're gonna switch now. I'm gonna look. I think Zeb is probably it's actually here already. Soonish. Just telling Blue Sky really quickly that we're about to switch to Helldivers. Good old stuff. Okay, perfect. And now we... Shit, I forgot my train of thought. Help. Yeah, I hope you all had some fun here. Looking at everything. Just stay. We will literally switch in a second. So just stay here. Reload the chat. Reload the site. We're going to be right back. I just need to edit a few things. Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah. See you all in a second. Reload the page. We will be right back. Thanks for tuning into Delta Force. And now, Helldivers 2.